Hello all and welcome, and I am the Realist Philosopher, and this is the Realist Philosopher call-in show. So how y'all doing today? Hope you're all doing good, fine, and well. Tired. Tired, I am tired. I hope you're not, but I am kind of beat. Been busy, creating clips for my show. Yeah, got to get a larger audience, Been breaking down older shows, making new clips. Yeah, because, I guess a lot of people don't want to watch long 1 hour plus videos. So, yeah, it's a better way to introduce them to my content. Unfortunately, I can't do that on the new platform, D Live, that I'm on, which I suggest you go check out. The link is in the description. I mean, there's a lot of links there, but if you go down near the bottom, D Live is there. You'll see it in parentheses. D Live. Looks like a good platform. You can live stream there. Unfortunately, you can only download videos once you have 200 followers. I think it's still a relatively new service, and memory costs money, so they're not allowing people to upload videos until they have 200 followers. It's not bad. I mean, they also don't allow monetization, though, until you have 200 followers. But that's, again, not too bad compared to YouTube, which requires... so I don't know how many of you out there are familiar with YouTube's monetization policy. It's kind of ridiculous. You have to have 1,000 followers and something like 4,000 hours of view time. But that's not it. You also have to pass a review panel, which is probably manned by the Southern Poverty Law Center. No doubt, which is itself a hate group, a leftist think tank that masquerades as an identifier of hate groups. Nah, it's a phony organization. It's a phony organization propped up by the media, some kind of authority on homegrown hate groups, and all it really is a group designed with the explicit purpose of smearing political enemies of leftist ideology. Anyway. So I hope you're all having a good day. Oh, boy. I'd rather not be here. But that's life. You have to do things you don't want to do, and that's what it means to be a man, right? Now, I've pondered making a video about this. I've pondered talking about this in my live stream. I made a video about it. You might want to check out my channel about what it means to be a real man. But I think I'll talk about it in passing because I guess a lot of people haven't viewed my content on my channel, the smaller videos. Now, today they call it an alpha male, but I think that's misleading because, I think there's a lot of things people qualify as alpha qualities that are not what make a real man. And when I was young, we didn't use these terms alpha, beta. They've never been used except for wolves, and only in recent times, studying the social behavior of wolves specifically, and then applied to other things. Yeah, what is a real man? I mean, I guess we could use the alpha beta term if you want. People today have become so remiss, shall we say, in regards to the meaning of words, or just so careless with the meaning of words, or they just always want to use something different because we don't want to use the same old. We want to stand out and be different from everybody else. Yeah, and alpha is easier to say than real man. Because what is a real man anyway, right? Everything's just so subjective. No. It's not. It's really not. I mean, there's a number of things that make a real man, of course. In terms of what separates an alpha from a beta, I think the main criteria in my mind and a lot of people's minds is the emotional aspect. Beta males tend to be very emotional. They tend to act on their emotions. They tend to be more like women, actually. They tend to be more like women. Scientific studies have been done in the male brain, and the part of our brain that processes emotion in a man, it's actually smaller than in a woman. And everything else is bigger. The centers that contribute to logic and reason, even imagination. But the emotional centers in the brain, especially those which process emotion, are smaller. See, this is biological. There is no social engineering involved here. What you're seeing in reality in regards to men not being as emotional as women and focusing more on logic and reason, that's a reflection of the biological. It's not a social construct, okay? There wasn't some guy one day that said, you know what? I'm an alpha male. And we men, we do everything and run everything. I mean, believe me, men have been running and doing everything for a long time, with great apes and chimps. And, I mean, he's the defender, right? He's the defender. He's the guy that goes out and fights. This phenomenon is not limited to humans either, all right? Yes, there are species where the female is dominant, but the majority seem to be male dominant. But regardless, this is not limited to humans. This is not limited to chimps or great apes or silverback gorillas, okay? I mean, this goes back millions and millions of years. So there must have been some chimp somewhere, whatever our common ancestor is with chimpanzees, sitting there and thinking very deeply and saying to himself, you know what? I'm going to eschew emotion for logic and reason. That's what I'm going to do. And because I am the patriarchy, I refer to this as the monkey patriarchy because if there is some kind of patriarchy, then it's essentially existed, for a long fucking time. Way, way before we had the logic, reason, and critical thinking skills that we have now. Way, way before we had language, okay? There must have been some chimp sitting in a tree who dreamed this shit up. Patriarchy is a social construct. Nothing's a reflection of biology. Nothing is as it should be based on the natural order. Oh, no. Everything's just made up arbitrarily on a whim without any input from our biology. Yeah, okay. That's pinhead nonsense. The monkey patriarchy. Come on. It's utter bullshit, obviously. But just because you're an alpha male doesn't mean you're a real man, by the way. Okay, there's a lot of factors that contribute to being a real man. But generally speaking, you are logical, reasonable, detached from your emotions. Okay, and in control of those emotions. They don't control you. Like, for example, if I call you a pinhead and you get upset, I'm going to kill you. Like the social justice warrior pinheads on the left, who get upset at everything and identify words as violence. Ooh, you have transgressed against me. You've initiated violence, so now I can whack in the head with a bike lock because I'm offended. By the way, offense is a choice, and, being easily offended is a good sign that you are a beta male. Soy bye. And not an alpha male. So that's generally speaking the difference between alpha males and beta males. Influenced by his emotions, and he controls them. They don't control him. That isn't to say that your emotions can't and won't affect you at times, but you don't let it be the governor of your actions. You don't let your emotions be the deciding factor in how you act, what your response is to something. See, that's the key. It's not that, and by the way, the women are so dopey. They really don't understand men. They really lack the imagination, the ability to think abstractly. People talk about how women are so empathetic. Did you even hear this? Was this term even bandied about before women started embracing feminism and the propaganda narrative that goes along with it about how women can do anything a man can do but better, and a woman needs a man like a fish needs a bicycle. This was not an idea. You see, people forget history, and they don't talk to old people, and they just don't know how the world works. The idea that women were more empathetic than men, or empathetic creatures in general, was never an idea embraced by anybody until like the late 1950s, early 1960s, by feminists. You see, what feminists have done is they've taken all of the traits that are considered positive, and they've given them a feminine stamp of approval and identified all those things with the feminine. Meanwhile, all of the traits that have negative associations, they have associated those with the masculine. That's it. That's all there is to it. Just like the term racism didn't exist until the 1960s and the civil rights movement to create division between the races and constant tension and abrasion between them. The idea of these traits that are embodied by women to such an extent that they identify them as feminine when they hear them, that's a construct. That's the construct, okay? This idea didn't exist. You go back to 1920 and you say to a man, you know, women are so empathetic. I mean, first of all, the average guy back then isn't going to know what the fuck that word means. He's sitting there sucking down his fucking beer after he spent 16 hours in a fucking mine swinging a pickaxe. Maybe 14 hours, because, 16 hours he'd just go home and fucking drop half dead into a sleep that he'd be in until, his bladder woke him up because there were no fucking alarm clocks. And all that beer he drank is now telling him, yeah, you got to make a deposit now in the bathroom. This idea, if you said to him, women are more empathetic than men, first thing he'd say is, what's empathetic? What's that word mean? What are you, a hoity-toity fucking pinhead? What are you? Hoity-toity boy? Are you a fancy boy? You like men? You like it in the pooper? So if you started using language they didn't understand, he might reply with something like that, first of all. Then, excuse me, once you explain... Jesus Christ. Once you explain to him what empathy meant, he'd be like, the fuck you been smoking, pal? Women aren't empathetic. Where'd you get that idea? What women have you been hanging around with? I want to meet some of these women because I've never met one. My nagging, harpy, bitch wife, good God. She's anything but empathetic. She doesn't know what it means to be a man. She don't even know what it means to be a woman. She's so lacking. I mean, if he knew what the word self-awareness was, if I said, so you think they're lacking in self-awareness too? He'd be like, what the fuck's that mean? What are you presenting me with these hoity-toity terms again, boy? You sure you're not a homo? If you are, I'm going to kick your ass up and down the street. And then you explained it to them. Oh, yeah, they're totally oblivious. Men are the logical and reasonable ones, not the broads. Of course, he wouldn't know the words logic or reason either in most cases. He's a working class guy who had very little education, but there it is, okay? These are the real constructs. This is what the left does, you see. Everything they're saying about all the things that you believe or that people have traditionally believed to be true and real and representations of how reality actually is, they present all those things as social constructs, and then they try to replace those things with actual social constructs. So you see, what they do is they accuse the other side of what they themselves are doing. That's what the left does. All right? It's an aspect of and the application of critical theory, okay? Which, yes, does involve a lot more than simply criticizing capitalism, though that's the definition you'll find if you look it up. So, yeah, all these things are bullshit, made up, completely made up by the leftist feminist movement. Women are not more empathetic than men. You need to get that out of your freaking head, okay? It's made up, completely made up. So, there you go. There's the difference between an alpha male and a beta male. And you can be an alpha, but not a real man. And I suggest you check out my video. I'm parsing all my videos into different playlists. I'm still involved in doing that. I think I'll finish doing that after this show. And it'll be under the philosophy playlist. It's not there yet. Give me a chance to create it, all right? I've already, separated the stuff into a couple playlists I still have to finish. There'll also be an economics playlist. But those pieces I don't make a lot of, as I do this daily show now and making the philosophical and economic pieces. They're much more time-consuming, 8, 10 hours, 12 hours. So they're much more time-consuming than just doing this show. And before, I would just usually do that on the weekend or in my spare time, which I have much less of now. All right, so anyway, let's move on to something else. Oh, boy. All right. Oh, boy, Bernie. Oh, God. Yeah, feel the burn. Do you feel the burn? Yeah, I don't feel it. I'm sorry. Sorry, Bernie. I don't feel the fucking burn. Burn. Feel the burn. Oh, God. I'd love to know who came up with that phrase so I could strangle them to death. Feel the burn! So Sanders says wealthy people, including me, should start paying their fair share. And he says, I pay the taxes that I owe. Well, yeah, but does that mean you're paying your fair share, Bernie? Yeah. He's not, of course. But then again, we don't know what does that mean? So what does that mean, fair share? Nobody knows. Nobody knows. You see, this term is used by the left to essentially imply that the rich are not paying enough. That's all it is. They need to pay the fair share. They need to pay the fair share. The 1% need to pay the fair share. I love doing his fucking voice, even though I suck at it. I sound nothing like him. Or maybe I do. I don't know. To be honest, I've listened. I haven't listened to the guy talk enough. I've read way more than I would like of what he has to say, but I really don't want to listen to him yammer. He's so stupid. Like AOC. Oh, her voice is grating. And it's not so much even because her voice itself is grating. It's the dumb shit she says, and then I can't stand listening to her. But, yeah. He thinks that people should pay more. That's all. But how much more? Well, they don't tell you. They don't come to any objective number, because if they did that, then there's a lot of people they wouldn't be able to say they're not paying their fair share. You see, they want to keep it vague and ambiguous so that they can just keep lambasting certain groups of people with the, rich, evil, not fair share payer label. So during a town hall on the Fox News channel on Monday, I'm going to have to watch that, by the way. I bet they threw him a lot of softball questions. People think that Fox News is this righty conservative outlet, but not really. Not really. So Democratic presidential candidate Senator Bernie Sanders said that he pays the taxes he owes. But why do you keep... but you've said yourself that doesn't mean you're paying your fair share. You keep lambasting what you call the evil 1%, which you're a member of, for not paying enough. See, that's what this fair share language is. It's essentially saying that you're not paying your fair share. What does that mean? Does it mean that you're not paying as much as poor people? Or does it mean that because you make so much more that you should have to pay much more than everybody else? Because it only requires so much to survive. How much money do you need? He sounds like fucking Obama now. Talking about how, yeah, you only need so much money. You only need so much money. You know, once you make a certain amount, yeah, you should give it all away, was the implication. Talking about how you only need so much money, right? Harkening back to the days of LBJ, and yeah, the 90%, the dippy-dippy-dap, which nobody paid, by the way. Nobody paid a 91% tax. It was something like on average, 42 to 43% back then. There were a whole bunch of what people like to call loopholes, but no, they were legal. They were legal exemptions, and people availed themselves of them or just moved their money out of the country and did business out of the country. And what it ended up being the case was that people were paying like 43% on average, around what the case is now, even though the top tier bracket for taxpayers was 91%. So again, you can charge whatever you want as a top tier. 91%. The wealthy need to pay 91%. They can keep 9%. They're billionaires. They can afford it. They don't need $1 billion. They only need 100 million, 90 million. They should give us the other $910 million. They only need, it's crazy. They only need $90 million. They can live very comfortably on 90 million. Nobody ever paid that 91%. AOC running around, we had a 91% tax rate at one time. Yeah, nobody paid it, you idiot. She didn't know what she's talking about. Did she really study economics? It seems like I know more about economics than the majority of people talking about it, and they're idiots, and they're people that have fucking degrees in it. This is really, really scary. It's crazy. Okay. Yeah, he pays what he owes. Are you saying that the rich don't? Well, what am I saying? He's rich. He's a millionaire. He's got 3 mansions and shit, countless cars. You would think with all that money he could fucking get a good haircut, though. What's up with that hair? Is that like his trademark now? I don't know, like Doc Brown from the fucking Back to the Future movie, who when you went back in time 30 years, he looked the same. I guess that's his trademark now. He's never heard of a comb that he likes. Anyway, he says he pays the taxes he owes, and whether it's me or you or anybody else, I think wealthy people and large corporations that are making billions of profits should start paying their fair share of taxes. So now he's made it billionaires. Oh, I'm just a lowly millionaire. I'm a lowly millionaire. My rules don't apply to me. Special pleading. Special pleading. Oh. Start stroking out on stage. This old fuck. He gets a little upset. He's going to have a fucking stroke. We want this fucking guy as president? I don't think so. I mean, besides his loony fucking socialist ideas, Jesus Christ, he don't look like he's in good health, does he? He looks a hell of a lot older than, what is he, 74? 75? Fucking A. Yeah. So it doesn't apply to millionaires. By the way, this idea that billionaires are the only ones that are the top 1%. The millionaires are too. He's in the top 1%. What does he think? People are stupid? They can't do math? Well, yeah. Okay. That's true. They can't, really. Most people, anyway. Not even addition and subtraction and division, to be honest. Most people are dummies. Of course, they're being brought up with this Common Core bullshit. What is that? I've seen this Common Core. It's the dumbest thing I've ever fucking seen. Talk about the most roundabout way to reach a fucking simple answer. I'm going to make it as complicated and difficult as possible to do very simple things. Yeah, let's make things more difficult, right? Not straightforward. So people even have a more and more difficult time of doing very simple things. Yeah, let's dumb people down even more. Make it impossible for them to use simple math. We don't want people to be able to do simple math. They might figure out our bullshit. They might learn to see right through it if they can do math. So let's introduce this Common Core crap. I think wealthy people, that's you, dummy. And large corporations are making billions of profits just not paying their fair share of taxes. You're implying they're not paying their fair share. Again, what's a fair share? All right, look. If you're going to make this claim that people need to pay a fair share, you got to come up with an objective number. Now, I know why you don't want to do this, okay? You don't want to do this because then if there's some kind of objective standard, then certain people could be excused and no longer lambasted as evil, greedy capitalists. And you lose a weapon in your leftist arsenal that you use to attack them, okay? I get that. I get that. But you throw this about a little too much, Bernie. People need to start holding these people's feet to the fire. Did either one of the people interviewing him in this so-called town hall, which he probably required that he had a bunch of Bernie supporters there. Okay, I'll let you interview me, Fox News, even though Barack Obama never let Fox News talk to him. He never talked to Fox News. He banned Fox News. But Trump is the one that's anti-press. Yeah, right. He wouldn't let Fox News into his press conferences. That was a good thing. That was a good thing. Oh, fucking Bernie. Oh, boy. Yeah. Yeah, I like that crazy uncle, but I never had an uncle. Well, I did have a crazy uncle, but not like this. My crazy uncle never talked. My crazy uncle lived with his fucking parents until he was almost 60. Until they died. And then he was forced to move out. And then he died not much long after that from cancer. So, yeah. He wasn't on his own for too long. But my crazy uncle was like a mute. Okay? He was crazy, but he was like a mute. This guy talks too fucking much. And about things he knows nothing about. Sanders said that he voted against Trump's tax bill. Of course he did. He's a socialist. He's against not taxing people. He wants more taxes, you see. And I happen to believe that the tax bill written and pushed by Trump, who told the American people that the tax bill, some of you may recall, would not benefit the wealthy. Do you remember that? Yeah. Does evil fucking rich, who already aren't paying enough, a lot of them are paying 50%. I think Tucker Carlson's paying 50% around there. And he's a multimillionaire. Yeah, he told you how much he was paying in taxes, roughly. Oh, but they're not paying the fisher. Neither are you, Bernie, by that logic. 83% of benefits went to the top 1%. So Bernie didn't know how economics works. So you give tax breaks to the top 1% of people. They have more money, which then they put into banks because, you know, I mean, unless you believe old Scrooge McDuck cartoons, rich people don't have, like, pools in underground hidden vaults full of gold coins that they swim around in. No, they put their money in banks, and then the banks loan the money out. It doesn't sit static somewhere in a big, giant pile. It's somebody's fucking basement. Now, maybe a lot of these people have gold bars, but the fiat currency, no, it gets put into the system, you know? It's not just sitting there in somebody's account doing nothing. Oh, Bernie. Yeah, you steal their money and give it to the government. It's not productive. It's not being used for productive endeavors. It's not being used to produce, to create more wealth. See, Bernie doesn't seem to understand that wealth is created. And to create wealth, you need wealth. It's very interesting. Yeah, you can't create something from nothing, all right? At least in the subjective world that we exist in. Whether or not that's even possible, is there such a thing as nothing? I've never seen nothing. Nobody's exposed anything such as nothing. If you can identify something that's nothing, then it must be something. But anyway, if you want to make wealth, you need wealth to create it. And the more wealth you have, the more wealth you can then create upon that wealth. It's very simple. This is simple economics, Bernie. Something that, you know, he didn't want to learn because, God forbid, he dispel that aura of ignorance that has surrounded him his whole fucking life. Yeah. So it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense to me. Give rich people more money and they'll make more money? No. Give it to poor people. Bernie, why do you think they're poor? It's like hitting your head on a brick fucking wall, okay? You know, really good brick wall, all right? More than one layer of bricks. You'll get nowhere. Hey, Bernie, why do you think they're poor people? It's not because they're good at making wealth. A lot of these people have been getting a lot of money from the system for a long time, including to go and get educated at fine universities. And what has it done for them? They still can't create very much wealth. So his idea is, give the poor people more money and take more money. 91%. Will you give 91%, Bernie? No. I should not have to. Just the billionaires. Just the top 1%. But you're also in the top 1%. I don't know what you're talking about. This interview is over. The blue screen. You know that sound? When you get the blue screen and shit and then your computer crashes. That's Bernie when you remind him that he's also in the top 1% and he should also have to pay that ridiculous 91%, which again, nobody ever paid. All right. Anyway, so he says 83% of benefits went to the top 1%. You too, Bernie. So I think that's a bad idea. And in my view, people, whether it's me or you or anybody else, I think wealthy people, that's you, and large corporations that are making billions of profits should start paying their fair share of taxes. What is that? Give me a number, Bernie. Give me a number so I can fucking eviscerate you. But he doesn't do that, right? Because if he was to give a specific number, then you could say how unrealistic and unviable that is. If he says, they should pay 50%, 50%. Corporations should pay 50%? You mean capital gains taxes too, Bernie? Fuck me. So, I mean, that's crazy, right? But that's what he believes, probably. But he doesn't want to say it because it's crazy. So he doesn't actually come out and tell you what he really believes. Because if he did and gave you an exact number, then real economists could point out what a fucking schlemiel this guy is, what a moron he is. Co-host Brett Bayar said, your taxes do show that you're a millionaire. I'm surprised they threw him a fucking hardball question. Well, we'll see. You did make $1 million in 2016 and 2017. You're right, the $561,000 in 2018, but your marginal tax rate was 26% because of President Trump's tax cuts. So why not say, I'm leading this revolution. I'm not going to take those tax cuts. That's great. Yeah, Bernie, if you're such a person of a high moral character, if you're so moralistic, why don't you lead the way? Why don't you lead the way and give more money voluntarily? Of course, it's because nobody wants to pay taxes. Bernie wants everybody else to pay more. He's very comfortable taking other people's money, but he wants to keep his money. So Sanders responded, come on, we're nearing, I paid the taxes that I owe. Non-answer. Non-answer. And by the way, why don't you get Trump up here and ask him how much he pays in taxes? So, okay, deflection. Move the goalpost. So the argument wasn't about Trump, but he made it about Trump. So he had to shift the goalpost, change the argument because he doesn't want to answer the question, okay? How much does Trump pay? Well, Trump isn't up here arguing for humongous taxes, which, by the way, you're too much of a pussy to put an exact number on because then people might be able to hold your feet to the fire, Bernie, and call you on your bullshit. I think everyone, including the rich, should pay 50%. And I think the capital gains taxes should be 50%. I think everything should be 50%. I think even stocks should be taxed 50%. It's crazy. He's not going to tell you what he really believes because even he knows it's considered outlandish. But in his mind, no, it's not outlandish. Right. Gotta love Bernie. Feel the burn. Ooh. Yeah, I don't want to feel this burn, okay? This burn will fucking bankrupt me. This fucking guy, he wants to take all my shit. He wants to take my shit and give it to other people who are too lazy to earn, to create the wealth, to get their own shit. No, thank you, Bernie. This idea that you empowering the dopey, the dumb, the low IQ idiots that exist in our fucking population who don't have the intelligence or the gumption to create their own wealth. This idea that if you give them money, that they're somehow going to suddenly, miraculously be able to build upon that and create more wealth is absurd. It plays into this notion of the left that wealth isn't created but redistributed. It shows not only an overly simplistic way of looking at the system, it's a wrong-headed way. It's not true. It's just plain fucking wrong. I mean, I can understand a kid playing with fucking Legos, okay? Who, you know, by definition, being so young as a subpar IQ, I can understand a kid thinking these kind of things, as they try to grasp the complex abstractions that are economic theory and such. But a grown old man like Bernie, he doesn't understand that wealth isn't just, shifted around. Go and look at the GDP. Just go and look at the fucking GDP for foreign European countries or America 150 years ago. And then compare it to now. And account for inflation. GDP now, we have 50 times more wealth. What's happening? I thought that wealth was only redistributed. How do we have more wealth now? Hey, it's because wealth created, you bithead. It's that shifted around, you idiot. Like little pieces on a fucking Monopoly board. You moron. It's just... wealth is created. Spare me this zero-sum game bullshit. Oh, God. It's another video I have on my channel. It'll be in the philosophy playlist. You might want to go check out once I've created that playlist. Now that I'll find the time today. All right, let's move on. I can't stand talking about Bernie. I mean, it's important because he puts himself out there. He puts himself in the news, so it's important to, call him on his bullshit. Yeah. I can only talk about this idiot and his ignorance for so long. All right, let's see what else there is. Oh, gee, more Bernie stories. No. No, I can't. Sorry, I need something funny. Oh, boy. Oh, what do we got? Oh, no. South Korea. Oh, my God. Yeah, this story is so disheartening. So, for those of you who aren't familiar with Asian countries, South Korea is a very traditional country. They have a constitution that, to a large extent, is based on the American Constitution. Because, the country was kind of in a shambles after the Korean War. We came in, helped them rebuild, and they did so based, to a large extent, on a Western model. It's not going to mirror the West 100% because, they're Oriental. There's biological factors in play here in regards to their culture and what their culture looks like, even though the left wants you to believe that everybody's a blank fucking slate. And if they're all raised the same and exposed to the same stimuli, they'll all come out the same. Which, isn't true. Even the NPCs are unique individuals. They've just, wiped away as much of their uniqueness as possible and embraced an evil death cult ideology that brands everybody else a Nazi, and really they're the real Nazis. So, South Korea has made abortion legal. Oh, you might not have realized this, that abortion was illegal in South Korea. That's right. Because, the Orientals, they are pretty traditional people. And so their culture has been largely traditional and, pretty logical and reasonable in terms of the laws they pass and the policies that they champion. But now, that's right, they've embraced madness and made abortion legal. And the argument is that it's the same one in the West. The feminists, the feminazis have invaded fucking Korea and won a major victory that will transform the country into the hellhole that America is becoming, with women in charge and pushing gynocentric policies, and they'll just destroy the country. Korea's gone. I figured Korea was one of the standout countries that would survive the storm. They won't survive it. So, the argument being that, well, the child, you've heard this argument before. My body, my choice. And the child, it can't exist without my body. It can't survive on its own without my body. It's not viable without me. Therefore, it relies on me and is not a separate entity. It's very interesting. Seems separate. I mean, yeah, it's relying on you. It's in your body, but it's not part of you, right? I mean, if I eat a fucking quarter, you know how kids sometimes will just shove shit in their mouth and swallow it, and then you got to take them to the doctor, get them an enema and shit, or pump their stomach. Yeah, I drank bleach. Uh-oh. Are you bleach? No. Well, then it's not a part of you, or it's not you, right? It's absurd. It's absurd. Of course, it's a separate entity. Just because it's reliant upon you doesn't mean that you have the right to kill it. Why don't you exercise some personal responsibility? Huh? Why don't you not sleep with the beautiful Chad guy and instead hold out for a guy that'll make a good husband that you'll actually have some emotions for other than resentment and enmity? Well, why don't you do that? No, we want to encourage women to have no personal accountability at all. To not in any way, shape, or form be responsible for their actions. We want to encourage them to sleep with every dude out there. Woo-hoo-hoo. Yeah, then they'll never find a man, and we'll totally undermine our own culture because, our culture, like any good culture, is based on the family. And we want to destroy the family, baby. Ooh, we want a bang. We want the cock carousel too, baby. This is just hedonistic women that essentially are looking at Western countries and saying, "Who?" And of course, the feminists have invaded, right? Yeah, probably George Soros-funded organizations, so-called feminist organizations, have been running around South Korea, exposing women to these retarded ideas. If you sleep with lots of guys and do what guys do and be like a guy, you're going to be so much happier and you'll be liberated. Could you imagine? You get to sleep with as many men as you want and there's no consequences. And you'll still be able to find a good guy later in life. They lie to them, essentially. And the women believe this bullshit. And they're like, oh, wow, I could bang around. Ba-bang, bang, ba-bang, bang. I could bang around, baby. And no consequences, right? Well, there are consequences, but, they don't tell you that. Because the goal of feminism is, literally destroy the traditional culture of whatever country it's fucking injected within. Because it's an injection. It's a disease, man. Somebody got a needle full of fucking syphilis, and they're sticking it right in your fucking thigh and pushing that plunger down, baby. Uh-oh, your brain's going to become Swiss cheese, which is pretty much the effect of feminism. Without a nice strong injection of fucking penicillin in time. Yeah, I fear the penicillin injection. Well, there's no more penicillin on the planet in this case. It's too late. Too late. Now it seems like some American states are having a change of heart and they're introducing their own heartbeat bills that say you cannot perform an abortion if you can hear a heartbeat. And of course, most women don't know they're pregnant until you can hear a heartbeat. So it would effectively make most abortions illegal. Because again, a woman in most cases doesn't know she's pregnant until you can hear a heartbeat. And that's on a state level. And I don't think that the federal court, I don't think that the federal government really should have a hand in this at all. The states should be deciding their laws. See, this is something people don't understand. That the states are actually very much like different countries. This is something people don't get. They don't get this, okay? I mean, when there were only 13 colonies, states, okay, and then you had the North and the South, and then they broke apart, and you had the Civil War, and then reunification. What you don't understand is that each and every one of these states had a very unique society. They had a very unique culture, all their own. Each of these states was in many ways its own country. Okay, this is something people don't understand, and why they also don't understand the Electoral College. Oh, well, we all Americans. What's the difference between somebody in Louisiana and New York? What's the Electoral College for? Yeah, it's because these separate states are in many ways, shapes, and forms their own countries, and each of these countries wants to have equal representation within the government. Oh, but instead, of course, you've got the leftist Democrat pinheads who want to fucking rack up a huge body count in certain states, certain Democratic fucking strongholds, and then they want to get the fucking popular vote passed because that way they can bypass the representation that smaller states now have due to the Electoral fucking College. Try to explain politics to morons. Good luck. Good luck. Anyway, yeah. So this heartbeat bill, some people in America are starting to turn around. There's starting to be some pushback. The worm is turning, as it were. But unfortunately, Korea has had its own Roe versus Wade moment and has passed laws making abortion illegal. Now, if you're a woman in Korea, you can jump on that cock carousel. You can destroy your ability to pair bond. And you'll never find a good man. Feminism destroying women's ability to be happy throughout the world for the past 100 years and more, actually. It harkens back to those old fucking spinsters running around and entering saloons with hatchets and banging open the fucking giant barrels of booze and shit, and nobody could fucking touch them because they're old ladies. Old ladies with hatchets, mind you. I wouldn't have had a problem with it. Some old bar came into my fucking pub, my saloon, in 1880 with a hatchet and starts whacking shit. I'd take that hatchet from her and bury it in her fucking skull. But, you know, yeah! If you go by the actual definition of feminism, I'm the real feminist, baby. I'll treat you just like a man. I'll put that hatchet so far up your ass it'll be coming out your fucking nose, okay? But those men were chivalrous back then. But they were patriarchal oppressors. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Patriarchal oppressors that let you get away with that kind of bullshit. Okay. But yeah, Korea's gone. South Korea's gone. They've embraced the madness. They've drunk the fucking leftist Kool-Aid, and now, and you know, it's a very productive society, by the way. It's very, very technologically advanced. Many people could argue that it has more developed infrastructure and on average is a more technologically developed, more technologically savvy, superior culture to the West in a number of different ways. Not anymore! Not anymore! People don't look at cause and effect. People don't look at cause and effect. South Koreans on average have some high IQs, but the problem with the Oriental cultures is they don't have much in the way of imagination, okay? They really don't. It's very interesting. They have on average a higher IQ, but their ability to think creatively and use their imagination is limited. And scientists have done studies, and to a large extent, they believe it has to do with their language, which is pictographic and not phonetic. So this limits, to a certain extent, how they actually think. Their language in itself has a limiting effect on their creative thinking. So they're not able to imagine possible outcomes as well as we are. I mean, in addition, right? It's the same kind of thought process that leads to the creation of new products, innovation. That's why the West, even though we have a slightly lower average IQ, has pretty much come up with 90+% of all inventions in the modern world. We may lack as high an IQ, but we're much more creative. All right, anyway, moving on. That's so sad, though. Korea's going to fall. Korea is going to fall. The left have won in Korea. Yeah. Say goodbye to Korea, baby. And it's going to be an accelerated process, of course, because, you know, they lack that creative, imaginative aspect, that logical, deductive reasoning that is largely aided by the ability to use your imagination at a higher, more abstract level. They lack that kind of ability, so they're not going to have as many safeguards against the kind of societal degeneration that occurs with feminism. So I think that the rot will be even more accelerated in South Korea. I think 10, 15 years, it's going to closely resemble where America is now. Boy, I don't even want to see what South Korea is going to look like in 30 years. Yikes. Yikes. It's going to be bad. It's going to be really bad. So sad. Some interesting stories here. Sorry, I didn't have time to choose what I wanted to talk about, so I'm going through my story list now of what I'd like to discuss. Oh, my. This is interesting. Okay, I want to talk. Yeah, this is interesting. Anybody hear about that 9-year-old that committed suicide? Yeah. Oh, because, male privilege, right? The world is such a wonderful, welcoming place for men, especially white men, because, you know, they not only have male privilege, they have white male privilege. Ooh, double whammy there. And it's almost as good as being a black, gay tranny. Triple privilege. But of course the left would tell you, that's not as powerful a privilege. Those three privileges combined still don't trump the privilege of whiteness and maleness. Okay, because those are institutional. Oh, boy. Listen to this. So, boy, age 9, found hanged after being sent to his room because he had been arguing with his younger brother. And actually, the story I read said it was bullying, that he killed himself because of bullying. So, a 9-year-old boy was found hanged after he was sent to his room following an argument with his younger brother, and inquest heard. What is this? Oh, this is the Mail Online. This is a UK rag, the Mail Online, so they're not going to tell you the truth. That pisses me off. So this kid killed himself because of bullying. He was essentially being bullied at school. He was being threatened by Muslims. It's no surprise to me that the story I read, and this is the wrong one. Let me see if I can find another one. I think I saved more than one. But the story I read, which wasn't a UK rag, which is one of the top 5 feminist countries in the world, the story I read said it was all about bullying, which makes sense. You don't kill yourself just because you're sent to your room. Okay? You don't kill yourself for that, especially if you're 9 years old. Good Lord. Kids are pretty, laissez-faire. They're pretty free-spirited. It takes a lot to get them down. Right? So this kid killed himself because of bullying. Okay? I don't have it here. Oh, well. But the story I read said that he was being bullied. He had been threatened with a knife at school by a Muslim student. A bunch of Muslim students said they were going to kill him. So, he was found by his 16-year-old brother in his bedroom on February 12th last year, and although he was taken to hospital, he died the following day. Oh, this is an old story. Why am I hearing about this now? Okay, this is a disinformation article published by a UK rag to try and steer you away from the truth, which is that there is no such thing as white privilege. If there was such a thing as white privilege, this kid wouldn't have been bullied and stalked and essentially harassed to the point of self-destruction. This idea of white privilege, you could only embrace it if you live inside a fucking bubble where you're not exposed to reality, right? An echo chamber where everybody's just ping-ponging back and forth the same fucking ideas and never actually experiencing the real world. Never interacting with people outside of your own little solipsistic bubble. That's what's going on with these leftist university students. And then they go out into the world, and if they can get a job, they end up getting a job in a field that caters to these types of beliefs and, actually will have other people working there that have the same type of mindset. I mean, you got young people coming out of university. They're all kind of going to get into the same kind of entry-level jobs. So a lot of the people that you're going to work with as the young people are lefties. And I'm, by the way, not even a big fan of conservatism, of conservatives, excuse me. Because what have they conserved, really? People talk about conservatives being the opposite of libtards. They're not really. They're not. They people think they are, but they're really not, okay? Because a lot of these conservatives push the same kind of globalism that the lefties do. Don't kid yourself. A lot of these so-called conservative pundits and people who opine, the talking heads, and try to make you think that they're conservatives like Ben Shapiro. They're anything but conservatives, okay? They're just people who have been put there to control you, okay? That's all. People like Ben Shapiro and Jordan Peterson especially, and he's in no way, shape, or form a conservative, but people like Ben Shapiro, they're just talking head mouthpieces that are put there to convince you, to ingratiate themselves into your consciousness, to ingratiate themselves to conservatives who are malleable, and then to, feed them a certain narrative, right? Steer them down a certain path, be it, what you think is a conservative path, or if you're a lefty, down a leftist path. But eventually the destination is the same, right? They're controls, essentially. They're controls put in place by the global elites to control you, to keep you on the path to globalism. All right. This is, okay, yeah, this is a good one. This is so funny. All right, this is a video, I believe. It might not open up, though. Fuck. So this is part of the problem with not having a lot of time. I don't have the time to save certain pieces and save the fucking audio, and I can't open a lot of this stuff during the show because, again, it just draws on too many resources. All right, so I remember the story, though, so I can recite it from memory. So J.P. Morgan's billionaire CEO can't explain how one of his low-paid employees should budget her salary. So this poor guy was brought in front of a congressman or a senator or some shit and grilled, and it's a woman, of course, and grilled about why one of his female, single mother, no less, employees isn't able to pay her bills. She doesn't have enough money. She doesn't have enough money in her budget to pay for everything she needs. And at the end of the month, she's in the minus. She's in the rears. Why is that? She's working for this rich billion-dollar bank, this bank that makes billions of dollars in profits. The 1%, and they have people working for them that can't afford to live. Yeah. There's no such thing as personal accountability in socialism. That's why people like it so much. Let me give you a bit of context. So the story behind this example being used by this lefty politician that's grilling this J.P. Morgan guy is that you got a single mother. She's working for J.P. Morgan Bank. So, of course, she's working for a bank. So she should be making a lot of money, whatever that is. Could you tell me what a lot of money is? I mean, if you're living in lefty San Francisco, where nobody's allowed to build any new housing and hasn't been allowed to build new housing for decades, and housing prices are fucking sky high, I think the idea of what a high salary is would be very different there than, say, Baltimore or Philadelphia or Detroit. But anyway, yeah, I mean, $70,000 a year in Chicago is a bit of cheddar. In San Francisco, it's nothing. You won't even be able to afford to go to fucking Starbucks and get a latte once a week on that salary. You'll be paying everything to your rent. But okay, she says, okay, she pays for her, child care. She pays for daycare for her little bastard child and pays for groceries and rent and car insurance and medical coverage and gas for her car and her car payment. She's in the rears $500 a month. Why is that, rich J.P. Morgan CEO? Why is this Wayman in the modern world, who's probably also getting all sorts of government cheddar, why is it that she can't fulfill her obligations in regards to paying her debts? Why are you asking me, bitch? Now I'm going to be J.P. Morgan. How would I have replied? Well, this would have been me. I would have said that exactly. Why are you asking me, bitch? Why don't you ask her? Why don't you ask her? She had a baby out of wedlock with a fucking bad boy, probably, who at this very moment is probably riding his fucking hog through Arizona on his way to fucking California. And then he's going to ride back to the East Coast, on his cross-continental fucking journey. This non-existent father, this absentee dad. Why didn't you ask her why she decided to ride the cock of this tattoo-bespeckled dude who had a pretty face and 5% body fat, largely because he has an alcoholic diet where he just drinks fucking beer all day, okay? Why? And he's a heroin addict, too, to boot. They're all real thin. Yeah, why don't you fucking ask her why did she decided to have a baby with a dude who wasn't going to be there and provide a second income? Why don't you ask her that? Why don't you ask her why she didn't get more education? Huh? Why she had a baby out of wedlock? Well, why don't you ask her? Oh, but no, there's no personal responsibility, of course. It's my job as an employer to pay her whatever the fuck she needs. Oh, she wants to live in a mansion? She wants to rent a mansion for $25,000 a month? Well, sure, I should pay for that too, because I have billions of dollars, and I didn't earn that billions of dollars by making the right fucking decisions. Oh, no! I didn't get a great education and develop my skills to the umpteenth degree. I didn't focus years and years on my career and eschew a family and have no family, no friends, work 16-hour fucking days, travel. Every week I'm on a plane somewhere else. Every other day I'm on a plane traveling somewhere else, working my ass off, giving myself a fucking ulcer. I'm going to stroke out at 55. No grandkids, no kids, but hey, she should make as much as me. Right. I love it. The lack of personal responsibility. It was so funny to see this video, and I wish I could have played it. And if I had had the time to prepare, I would have saved the clip and played it for you. Oh, God. Now I have to find the time somehow between my work and my job and business to do this shit. This is crazy. Oh, fuck me. But yeah, she's grilling him. Well, why is it, Mr. CEO, she can't pay her bills? She should be able to pay her bills. Like a fucking chicken, right? You know? Remember that the Al Bundy? He called the Marcy Darcy the chicken. She would always stand like this with her shoulders out and her arms out like wings, and she would, nag at you like this. Why can't you pay her enough money to pay her bills? It's your responsibility. Do the chicken dance. Chicken lady. Fucking A, she's just, pecking at this poor CEO dude. As if it's his responsibility. Well, you decided to employ her, so now you are her keeper, and it's your job to give her whatever money she needs, regardless of whether or not she creates enough value to generate that much. And by the way, she has to generate more, because, I can't just pay her what she's worth. It's great. So I just can't pay her $100, and she only brings in $15 of value. You do know that. I can't even employ her if she creates $15 in value and pay her $15, because I'm making no profit. You have to make profit. I explained this, I think, my last podcast, or if not, you should watch some of my pieces on economics. Again, a channel I'm going to create after this friggin' show. You can't hire people and make off of them exactly what you're paying them. Then why are you employing them then? If I'm not making profit, where am I getting the money to maintain and grow the infrastructure of my company? Where am I getting the money to market, to advertise, to get new equipment, to improve infrastructure, to innovate, to grow, to remain competitive? Oh, I'm getting it from nowhere, so my company will remain static forever and will go out of business very quickly. Yeah, I hire people so that my business will, die. I hire people who create exactly the same amount of value that I pay them, and then I get no money in return for giving them the facilities to make money themselves. It's great. Mr. CEO, why aren't you paying her enough to survive? It was so funny. I would have just laid into that fucking woman. Hey, lady, it's not my job to pay her whatever the hell she wants or needs to survive, based on the life choices she made. Maybe she should have made better choices. Maybe she shouldn't have had a child out of wedlock. Maybe she shouldn't be a single mother. These are all things she can control. But of course, no personal responsibility. It's like fat people complaining that they would have to buy 2 seats on a fucking airplane. Well, these are things that within your control, They're within your control. You don't have to be fat. You don't have to lift the fork and put it to your fucking mouth and eat the food and almost eat the fucking fork too. Because you're so ravenous all the time. Bit the fucking fork. I bet that's a problem that a lot of fucking fat people have. Chipped teeth from being so fucking ravenous. I bit the fork. But yeah, well, it's not my responsibility to pay for your bad decisions. But of course, he didn't say any of that. And he explained to her very succinctly and clearly that the job that this woman has is an entry-level job, okay? Entry level, she has very little experience, she has very little in the way of skills. Yes, but she has daycare, and she's minus $500 every month. So what you're saying is, regardless of how much value she brings to the job, If she needs more, I must give her more. See, it is a communist. The woman questioning him was a fucking commie. From each according to their abilities, to each according to their needs. Yeah. And she needs more, so she's entitled to more, regardless of whether or not she actually creates the value. Oh, great. Regardless of whether or not she actually creates enough wealth in her job to justify a higher salary. It's madness. It's madness. The world we're living in right now is so mad. We're ever more embracing emotions over fact and logic and reason. Just like AOC said. What did that dopey AOC say? You know, I think it's more important to be moral than focus upon being semantically, factually correct all the time. Wait, what? But wouldn't I have to know what the truth was before I could apply moral values? What? It's ridiculous. Truth is facts, sweetheart. I have to know the facts before I can apply a moral judgment. Right. But what she's really talking about is emotion over fact. No logic, no reason. Just be emotional and let your emotions guide you. Yeah. Tippy, tippy, tap. God. All right, that's it for this show. Oh, geez, I didn't even open up the Skype. Sorry. I totally forgot. I'm tired. What do you want from me? Okay, it's open now. Show's over. All right, well, anyway. So if you'd like to be on the show, I suggest that you send me a Skype, and I will add you to my contacts list. My Skype name is The Realist Philosopher. That is The Realist Philosopher. I no longer use the phone call-in method because nobody was really calling and using that. Anyway, everybody that called in was using Skype, so it just seemed like a waste of money. All right. Yep. So The Realist Philosopher. And if you'd like to support my work, please feel free to donate at therealistphilosopher.com/donate. That is therealistphilosopher.com/donate. I think after this show, not only am I going to make those 2 new playlists on my channel, I'm also going to put aside the content for tomorrow's show and make any recordings I need to. Sorry about that. Again, I don't really have that much free time. I would love to be able to spend all my time researching and preparing content and materials for this show, making it, have a higher level of quality. But reality, it is my foe, it is your foe, it is the foe of us all. It can only do so much, and there's only so many hours in a day. Anyway, and if you'd like to be on the show, and this is meant to be a call-in show, even though I forgot to open the fucking Skype, you have to have Skype. And I know what you're thinking. You've heard a lot of bad things about Skype, but it's not a bad program. It used to be a bad program. I remember using it fucking 10 years ago. I thought it sucked. I was like, fuck, this thing's eating up all my fucking resources, motherfucker. And it's on in the background when I turn it off, but no. Now, it doesn't remain on in the background, and it doesn't eat up that many resources. And, of course, computers are much better now than they were 10 years ago. So, yeah, it's a good program. So if you'd like to be on the show and you don't already have Skype, download it. It's not a big program. And, again, it doesn't eat up resources. It doesn't use your processor when it's turned off. So you can be on the show via that method. Also, email me. My email is admin@therealistphilosopher.com. That's admin@therealistphilosopher.com. If you'd like to talk to me about a specific story, get my input, my philosophical acumen, as it were, on an issue you might be having, a problem, or a subject you would like me to discuss more, send me an email and you can be on the show. Or if you just have a question that you would like me to address, you can send that question to me. That's admin@therealistphilosopher.com, ADMIN @therealistphilosopher.com. Also, follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Gab. At Facebook, I'm Magus Reason. Twitter, The Realist 1967. At Gab, I'm just The Realist Philosopher, and the same for Instagram. And again, please consider donating to my show. All right, there's a lot of things I'd like to do, and even broadcasting this, creating the material, the various platforms I'm on, none of it's free. So if you could please consider donating, I would greatly appreciate it. And again, I'm on DLive. I'd really like to get off YouTube. I don't like YouTube. They censor you too much, right? And it's very difficult to get monetization with them. But DLive is much easier. It has monetization in the form of Bitcoin. So if you go there and follow me, you can make one-time donations of a very small amount, whatever you choose, and it gets transferred into Bitcoin. So it's 100% anonymous. I don't know who you are, and you can use PayPal, credit card, various methods to make those donations, which, again, I get in the form of, well, not Bitcoin. It's some kind of fucking cryptocurrency. I don't know exactly which one it is. But, yeah, it's pretty easy, pretty convenient, and I think it's a very good platform, and if it continues to grow, it will outstrip YouTube eventually, I think, because, you know, at least as a creator, who wants to be on a platform that censors you? And PewDiePie is already there now. He is doing all his live streaming on DLive, no longer on YouTube. So I hope you'll go follow me there, and again, the link is in the description. And that's it. Hope you have a good day. I am the Realist Philosopher. Take care.